It's the 23rd of March 2019. I'm David Griffin. I'm here at Derbyshire County Cricket Club, and today I'm talking to
Chris Hartley, current chair of Derbyshire Cricket Board.
Chris. The Cricket Board obviously oversees recreational cricket in Derbyshire, but before we get to your current role, can I just take you back to your earliest connections with the game of cricket? When and where was that?
Right back to the beginning.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have a grandfather who was Australian and spent most of my school holidays, because I was in boarding school,
right.
My father was away, with him, and was brought up to watch on the black and white BBC television the early days of Test match in my life, the 1960s and the Australian tour. And he was a huge Australian cricket fan, big cricket player at a club called Broadstone down in Dorset, and I suppose was brainwashed into following cricket. I also had a father who was very big in Hampshire cricket when he retired from the Navy, and was involved in Bournemouth Week, which you possibly remember.
Yes, Dean Court.
Yes. And so I had a double side. I had a grandfather, my mother's father, and I had my father. And he always said he used to go and watch Hampshire. Last game of the season was always Hampshire to come bottom and Yorkshire to win the championship in the 30s. You check the records, and that's how it was. So Dean Court was a big part of my early life.
Right, yeah, I remember going there for a Gillette Cup match, I think, back in mid-70s.
We had a great
see
team.
Barry Richards score some runs. I think Hendo got him out very cheaply.
I saw Barry Richards make a lot of runs before lunch.
Wonderful player, wasn't he, Barry Richards?
Well, I would say, without any question, the best bat I've seen.
Really?
I think he's superb.
Really?
He just made it. He got bored, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's admitted that now in his 60s.
So were you watching Hampshire in that early 70s, mid-70s, when they got Andy
well,
Roberts as well?
Yeah, and Malcolm Marshall and Gordon Greenwich, and
they
even
had a
earlier
great
back.
side, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, my dad's friends, Jimmy Gray and Leo Harrison, used to sit and watch as they got very old. So Hampshire cricket was a huge part of my early life.
Of course, Inglewood Mackenzie was
Inglewood
one of the
Mackenzie,
great sort of dashing captains, wasn't he? Of his age, he was a renowned skipper.
Please go to bed before the game starts, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And were you playing at this time?
I never played. I could never play.
Right, so you not at school or?
Well, I did at school, but I was never any good. Like third team I went to a public school called Camford.
Right.
And I must struggle to make the third team. I could never do it. Just loved the game, always loved the game. Loved watching it, reading about it, collecting cuttings. Probably like you, David, obsessed from the beginning.
Absolutely.
Obsessed from the very beginning.
So how does a man of, you're from Dorset, is that right? But man of Hampshire?
Well, we were
on the border.
We lived, my father was in the Navy, so we were everywhere,
okay.
and that was where my grandparents lived.
Right.
And then post-university, we moved up here.
Right.
And my wife, Julie, comes from Sutton Ashfield, and Matlock was a good place to
border,
settle, and I spent my life teaching up here, and gradually got involved in Derbyshire cricket.
So when did that begin, that involvement in Derbyshire cricket?
Well, probably, I don't know how David, I was lucky enough to have David, who became quite a talented cricketer. I don't quite know how that actually ever started him getting involved in Matlock. I was thinking about that the other day. People like Dave Briggs, well, I think we just turned up on a Saturday morning when he was 6 or 7 or 8, and then got sucked in like you do into Matlock, running teams.
Yeah. Lovely spot, isn't it?
Lovely ground,
lovely.
No, it was a very happy time. Martin Wood,
the
people there. So you just sort of get sucked in, don't you? You're quite happy to be sucked in, running the teams, and then you come something and you come something, and I ended up as chair at Matlock, and then moved on. David wasn't going to stay at Matlock. He went off to Lullington, and then he went to Spondon and Happy Times. So
did you travel from sort of club to club as David did? Were you?
I didn't do any. Had no role at Lullington.
But you're just happy to watch.
Happy to watch, and I suppose as a result of that, I sort of got involved. Roy Pearce, you obviously must have interviewed Roy.
Actually, not.
But
I know. I know Roy is.
Roy then I used to go to the Dales meetings and got involved in Dales cricket and took over from Roy. I mean, that's 15 years ago. So I mean, it's a long haul of, not haul, that's the wrong word, isn't it? But long time involvement. But I still used to go and watch Hampshire, and I can remember going to watch Hampshire beat Derbyshire in the
88.
Benton and Hedges and sitting on the train, quite quiet going down, exceptionally quiet coming back, because Hampshire obviously beat Derbyshire very easily that time.
Well, I remember about that is it was in the days when you could take beer into the ground, and we took a barrel of 144 pints, which we thought was probably enough for 6 or 8 of us. And it was only when we got to sort of lunchtime that we thought we're going to have to drink this at double speed, because we were expecting the game to go on until 7 o'clock.
Did it? No.
It was very disappointing. I don't think Derbyshire were quite ready really. Hampshire did have a stronger side.
A stronger side, yeah.
They won the toss, and Jeffries, who played one game for Derbyshire, of course, previously, was the destroyer, wasn't he? 5 for next to nothing.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, I've grown to want to support Derbyshire, but you have a where your roots, so, you know. I had a good bit of banter when Hampshire came up for the quarter-final the other year, and the Freedy made up with something. And a couple of my friends from Hampshire were up having tea with Ian Morgan. It was quite good fun, but, you know, I mean, it's all good-natured, isn't it?
Absolutely. Another former Derbyshire player coming back to haunt us, because, of course, Freedy played for us a handful of games in
had a few
early 2000s.
Stevenson coming down to Hampshire was
Bob and Keith.
Yeah.
Because Bob Stevenson, the keeper, went down, didn't he? And then Keith Stevenson.
A very loyal, good servant, Bob Stevenson was,
So how the journey, I mean, you're now the chairman of the Derbyshire Cricket Board. So what was the jump to that? How did you get involved in the board?
I suppose I was with people like Dave Bull, at the Cricket Development Group meetings, and got to know people. And then, if honest, I mean, I retired from teaching. And Howard, you know, just suggested, well, maybe you could do something with us. So I came along as a director. They were difficult times at the board then, as we just said, you know, they had difficult change, they had a lot of changes, and then Dave Bull began to get a bit struggling with work and couldn't put the time in perhaps that he did, and almost by default I sort of slipped into being chair. And what
does that entail then?
What does that entail?
Perhaps actually, before you answer that question, could you just explain a quick overview of what the Cricket Board's role is first, and then what your role is as chairman to lead it?
Well, our role, as you know, is actually to promote the recreational game. Run the player pathway up to currently academy level 17s, but that's all going to change, as you know, with the new county partnership agreement. The recreational game, club development, stopping the slide of playing at all ages, promoting the women and girls game. So advising clubs on developing, you know, a whole gamut of stuff that we're involved in. And we probably haven't done that terribly well until the last couple of years, but I think we've made substantial strides. The last couple of years, we've got a good new young leader. We've got good young staff. We're much more focused on delivery now than we were administratively top heavy, so we've done a lot of changes over the last few years, and now I think we're leaner, fitter, more purposeful.
So how does the chairman then strategically lead all of that?
With difficulty at times.
Do you have a committee?
We have a board. We have a board of directors. Perhaps not as diverse as we should be. Lots of people my age and generation who've been involved in cricket a long time, like Keith Redfern from Buggington and Dave Bull. So we have a board. We have board meetings, basically 6 a year, and then we have other meetings. Like Richard will deliver an annual plan, strategic plan about where he's going and what he's going to do. So the check and challenge role. We were very executive, perhaps 2 years ago, but we've slipped from being very executive to much more non-executive. I would say over the last 18 months, a substantial part of my time has been spent on the new county partnership agreement. So obviously, we all know about the 100 and the ECB finances and the 1.3 million coming to Derbyshire and the 1.2 billion coming to cricket overall from Sky for the TV, Sky and BBC I should say, and there's been a lot of work on meetings with them, developing a new relationship, because we're not going to get the money unless we work with the county club. And today, which is a development day down here with the county club and the county board, got people working together as real evidence that we're moving in absolutely the right direction for cricket in Derbyshire.
And you've mentioned there a lot of people from clubs. So
Yeah.
what's the working relationship between, for example, the Derbyshire County League, Premier League, League Cricket generally, and the Cricket Board?
The relationship is, I think, pretty good, pretty strong, developing and getting stronger. So you've got Dave Fern there, who again people have known for a long time. So again, I think we're moving into a much more positive phase.
Do you have input? You know, for example, they've gone for win-lose cricket this coming year in the Premier. Would you be involved in that conversation?
We would try to be involved with it. Obviously, the league is a members' league, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's up to the clubs to vote. But we're, interestingly, on Thursday night at the board meeting, Richard was talking about having that's Richard Wood, the head of the DCB, talking about having a captain's day down here.
Oh, right.
To talk to the captains about what they want and how they can move the league forward. Although I think, to be fair, the league is moving forward. So, but I think there's still more work to do to bring it to how we're going to get everybody engaged. I mean, okay, Premier League cricket should be longer, tighter, but maybe at Division 7, 8, 9, 10, there's some room for change and development.
Well, I'd like to ask you about that, because you touched on the fact that player retention, I think you mentioned something about the difficulty of
I think
do you think that ties in with perhaps a change of format, and would the board support that, or does it understand?
I think we would understand.
Got to happen?
There's an understanding that things have got to happen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to continue to have the slippage, aren't we? And you know as well as I do, the age profile, even in the Premier League, is going up, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, there are golden generations, like the 32-year-olds, 33-year-olds, there are a lot of them still playing, but you know, the number of, the average age is going up.
Is there a way to I mean, you talked about your own son, and I know when I played cricket, to me, it was a joy to leave the house first thing on a Saturday morning, not come home till midnight. But is there a reason why young people don't want to do that anymore? And is it reversible?
Societal change, isn't it? Whether it's reversible, I don't know. Whether there's going to be, in the end, a reaction to social media and people are actually going to recognise that we need community and we need people around us, whether that will come gradually.
Yeah.
But, you know, my son's wife, love her as I do, she would never enter her head to go down and do what perhaps our generations would do and help. She might go down for a glass of white wine at 6 o'clock at the end of the game, but they drift off at the end, don't they? Not like perhaps we did, we hung around and we stayed and our social life was completely around the club. They're just everywhere, aren't they? They're different. They have a different view on things. So I think to get people playing cricket, that won't disappear. I think people will still be playing. But we need to look at the formats. Perhaps we need to have shorter formats, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can give way too much, can't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know.
I guess, I mean, I talked obviously to a lot of people in the recreational game during this project, and there are those who do want to protect the integrity of the game, but at the same time, they've got to balance that with, well, it's all well and good, but what if we can't get anyone to play it?
Yeah, people want, I mean, we have enough surveys coming through, don't we? And we get, we want start times at this, but in the end, playing cricket, you have to accept it's not cycling or running.
Yeah.
It's a team game involving 22 plus people.
So
you can't have variable start times.
What are the preferred start time? You know, when you do these surveys, what kind of, do they want to play earlier or later, or?
I think they want to play earlier, later and finish earlier.
Right.
I think social life on a Saturday night.
It was interesting that when we talked to some of the clubs that had been founded as colliery cricket clubs, back in the day, cricket didn't begin until 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon to account for the miners on the morning shift. Which I thought was quite interesting, because in May or April, 3 o'clock start, you wouldn't have that much time to get a game in, but I guess the over 8 was a bit quicker then.
But the social life was round it, wasn't it?
Yes.
The whole community was there to watch the cricket.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go down to, I mean, I'll go down, well, Spondon's quite good, you might get 100 people there watching Spondon. But you go down to a lot of clubs, you've got a couple of people at the dock, haven't you? So it's not like it was.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people would go and watch Alfred and Colliery play in the old days?
Yeah.
That'd be quite
full houses.
Full houses, absolutely, full houses. Families, everybody would have been there.
Just one question about the geography of the county, because we're a populous county. People often talk
Over
about
a million.
Derbyshire being small. It's 1 million people, and Worcestershire and Somerset would give their eye teeth for those sort of numbers.
Well, Northampton is smaller, yeah.
But we're very long county. You can go to Matlock and still have to go another hour to get to Glossop. Is that a challenge for the board and for cricket generally?
You wonder how on earth somebody at any point created Derbyshire geographically. I mean, it's a crazy county.
Yeah.
So I mean, I live in Matlock, and except you got to Glossop, it's an hour's drive. But in summer, it's a good hour's drive.
Yeah.
It is a problem. It is absolutely a problem because we're never going to get the absolute cohesion that perhaps the Nottingham can have, where it's a more sort of compact Leicestershire. So Glossop are going to be involved in Manchester cricket, aren't they?
Yes.
I mean, even in Matlock, the majority of the people we know, we think we look Chesterfield, we look Sheffield. Don't necessarily look, I mean, I don't go to Derby apart from coming here. So, or even Nottingham maybe. So no, I think it is a real issue. Geography is a nightmare. I mean, look at the county league. How many clubs are actually members of the county league north of Matlock?
Yeah.
Chesterfield.
Yeah, very difficult, isn't it? Yeah.
Not very many, are there?
No.
Particularly if you go up towards Buxton, Whaley Bridge and Chapel and Glossop and Hayfield. They're not involved, are they?
No.
And you
Lovely
know
parts
why.
of the world and some wonderful grounds up there.
Oh, lovely.
But
yeah.
they are, you're right, it's so distant from the south of the county.
And then you got parents whose boys are involved in the player pathway. I mean, what a commitment they're making to come down here every Tuesday night or so. You're not talking about just popping up, are you?
Makes you wonder what they did back in the really olden days when players were unearthed in the colliery towns and villages.
They used to walk, didn't they?
Well, boots around the neck, I think, and jump on a trolley bus or
exactly,
whatever.
Yeah, but time was different, wasn't it? They were all day meant all day, didn't it? Whereas now all day seems to mean it's a different generation. Isn't it? They think differently. Yeah.
So for the future, where do you see the Cricket Board's position within Derbyshire cricket being, and what do you hope it can contribute to county cricket and cricket generally?
I think we're on the cusp of really exciting and positive times in Derbyshire cricket. Obviously today is the start of a good, positive relationship with the county club.
Yeah.
The foundation, the Cricket Derbyshire Foundation, is stronger now than it's probably been since its inception. Getting people involved as trustees who actually live in the community and want to be involved in the committee. Good, strong developing links with the Women in Derby business group, for example. So that the Cricket Board is obviously developing well, keep our staff together, positive. The new county partnership agreement, which comes on stream in February, is going to mean, without going into too much detail, substantial new funding, extra funding for us at the Cricket Board. So that in itself will mean we can have more work to do with the clubs, because in the end the clubs are the key, aren't they?
Absolutely.
We've got to get into the clubs. So to say we've got 3 club development officers, perhaps we could go to 4 or 5 club development officers, then suddenly you're into a whole new situation, aren't you? Really good positive work. I mean, the number of people coming down here today, which I'm rumoured to be around 150, on a Saturday with relatively short notice, has to be positive. Obviously, there are key areas working in the inner city derby. That's a big issue for us, and I think that's one of the reasons we're developing stronger links to the board and the foundation, getting closer and closer together, because the foundation, I think, will be the key to getting into inner city derby. So, the foundation has now got about £6,000 out of the Diwali night. Well, what a link into the Indian community, not the Pakistani community or the Bangladeshi, but what a wonderful opportunity that's. So Charlotte, who you've met, the new case officer, is putting together a plan for using the non-turf pitches in Normanton and various parts of Derby to link with that. So again, that's less formal cricket, informal cricket, but what an opportunity for us.
Excellent. Well, plenty done, more to come.
Well, exciting times, David, but it's...
I'm just going to pause it there so we don't run out of space on our tape. But for now, it's been very interesting. I think we'll talk some more. Chris, thank you very much.